they needed a team.
Yeah. Whatever the USC they have plenty of money for plenty of stuff. Welcome in, sports fans, to another episode of San Diego Prep Insider. Christian Pedersen in the San Diego Prep Insider studios, joined on the Zoom link by Bodie De Silva from Scorebook Live, the official digital content provider of the entire world of high school sports, but we really only care about their San Diego coverage. You can find them at Scorebook at SB Live, SB Live CA. Download the Scorebook Live app. It has everything you need to know. Bodie, what's good?
Yeah, a really good week for baseball last week, and it's only continued after yesterday's game. So as we've talked about all year, just going to be chaos and a lot of fun because teams are very even.
And today, rocking the USA Baseball shirt here in studio, you can find him at DR Player Development. Dave Ring, the Dinger King.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that would be your jingle. If you did local TV commercials, you'd be, Dave Ring, the Dinger King. Not even a chuckle from Bodie.
I like that.
Ouch. I thought that song delivered. I kind of had actually prepped that bit.
I was reading my notes on what I'm talking about.
There
Bodie's
you go.
ready for the show.
True to form, Bodie is ever accountable to the show. Dave's got dingers later in the show. Tweeting this out right now at SD Prep Insiders, where you can find us on all the social media. This is our first attempt at a live show. So I'm curious how this sounds. We're live right now on YouTube, and we appreciate everybody putting up with our technical nonsense as we've learned that we're good at some stuff and bad at other stuff. We got Khalil Green here now as a permanent addition to the studio. Slightly out of focus bobblehead Khalil Green. We're living the high life. Every week on the show, which is brought to you by the U.S. Marine Corps, we like to talk about a little bit of everything high school sports related. We have the top 10 rankings that we like to get to. We shout out some game balls. We talk a lot of baseball specifically. I will get into a little bit later in the show, though. We got the first ever girls volleyball championships, plus CIF hired a new inclusive sports director. And as always, we are joined in studio by the world's most annoying intern that wants only to produce an ASMR podcast and do nothing about high school sports.
Crunching away.
Yeah, let's start with the top 10. Dave, I will leave this to be your minefield to run through because I no longer have any faith other than I feel like I know the top two are kind of interchangeable maybe at 1 and 2, at least in my mind, as San Marcos and Saints. But I could be way wrong at that. Dave, who do you got?
Yeah, actually, I got San Marcos at number 1 this week. They're 16-3 according to what I've got. Really playing good baseball. I'd say Santana, a strong number 2 team. I've got them edging. I've got San Marcos edging Santana in a 3-game series right now. So I know they haven't played it, but in a virtual series, I think that's why I've got that flip-flop there. Granite Hills, I got them at number 3. Del Norte, I've got number 4. They're 17-5 so far this year, really playing good ball. Saints at number 5, Torrey Pines at 6. Francis Parker, I'm going to move up to 7 this week. They're 20-2. Their strength of schedule doesn't show how good of a team they are, but I think really a solid squad this year. They're going to pitch and hit. Madison squeaking in there at number 8. And I'm going to put Rancho Bernardo back at number 9. They've went from being a 500 record to back to 13-8. So solid run for them. And Eastlake, I'm going to put at number 10 this week. 15-7, solid squad again. Another year Eastlake playing good baseball. They'll be in the hunt for that Open or D1 championship, as always.
Really? Because this was the first week that I almost didn't even consider putting Eastlake in my top 10. Just not out of any fault necessarily of their own, but just I feel like this is not a marquee signature year for Eastlake, and other teams are starting to rise up and having those years, and they're maybe getting a little lost in the shuffle. So it'll be weird to have them featured as an underdog.
Right.
We'll put that on the poll at SD Prep Insider on Twitter, on Instagram. Does it feel weird to consider Eastlake baseball an underdog? Bodie De Silva would like your answer on that question, then your top 10, please.
Yeah, Eastlake, I agree. I mean, last year they snuck in as the 8, but I think that team was a lot more experienced, had some seniors, obviously Marcelo Mayer, and I just don't see that team making that same run this year. And for that purpose, I agree. I did not have them in my top 10 this week. I went with Santana at number 1. They don't have the big names, but they just keep on winning. They won again yesterday. They're 16-3 now. And coming up this week, they're going to play Granite Hills twice down the week, and that's my number 2 team, Granite Hills. They did lose to Helix last week. They played back-to-back 10 Lions tournament. So have a lot of faith in Granite Hills. They were my preseason number 1, but big opportunity against Santana. At number 3, I have Torrey Pines. They ended the week with taking 2 out of 3 games from San Marcos. Because of that, I dropped San Marcos down to number 4. They just do not have the pitching right now, and they lost again yesterday to Rancho Bernardo. That league is just crazy. Poway beat Torrey Pines yesterday, so everything's kind of coming together and will make for an exciting run these last few weeks. I have Saints at number 5. They were 2-2 up in the Boris Classic. Can't hold it against them. Foothill, La Mirada. I mean, all these teams they're playing are just loaded. Francis Parker moves up to number 6. 20-2 now, just rolling against everyone. It's not the same strength of schedule, but this is still a very good team. Madison jumps in back at number 7. They've won 7 of 8, I guess 8 of 9 now after they beat Cathedral on Monday. Rancho Bernardo at number 8. They look like they want to move up even more after their win over San Marcos. Del Norte's there at number 9. A little disappointing couple games. They lost to Rancho Buena Vista and then El Camino. But I know they'll be there when playoffs come around. And then Montgomery's in there at number 10. They're playing really good baseball and always can count on them to pitch and defend.
It's odd how sometimes high schools can do that when you only have players for max 4 years. And it's not like you're signing these guys to long-term free agents, but yet somehow you're right. Montgomery, pitching and defense. It's something in the water there. It's something in the French fries there. Dave, have you had tacos El Gordo?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Tell me, is tacos El Gordo worth having your car towed and then having to hunt it down for 4 hours at the border? Yes or no?
Yes,
it is.
Tacos
Okay,
are amazing.
deal.
Oh, I don't know.
Tacos are amazing.
Because Bodie had that happen to him. He rolled the dice on parking for Tacos El Gordo in the 7-Eleven parking lot next door to it. And came up with tacos and no car.
Did you get the adobada where they shave it off the thing that's spinning?
Yeah, I didn't know about that until I went later with Christian and learned that. So
that's the good stuff.
Those were a must.
Yeah.
The adobada, just as it gets that big slice vertically down. Oh, it's game, set, and match. Hey, intern, come on.
Yeah.
Back down here. Guys, Game Balls is usually where we shout out a little bit of everything that's happening across the county. I wanted to just give out my Game Balls real quick. Oh, hold on as I back over here. Hello. Wanted to give out my game ball specifically to a Hoover Cardinal. This one felt like it was just in given the year of all of the as I filibuster to get my notes, pulling a Bodie here. Oh, where is it? Oh man, I have too many tabs open here on my computer. Dave, we will be going next to your game balls, but I'll say before I get to my first game ball, my second game ball was going to be girls beach volleyball. It is now a CIF sport, and I think that game ball, as always, or as maybe not always, but game ball can go out to CIF for adapting and making new stuff and making cool stuff. And we see a lot of really great athletes from Torrey, Scripps, La Jolla, Carlsbad, all the traditional volleyball powerhouses also sending girls to go play, the newer version, the beach volleyball at college level, as our intern chimes in with a wonderful squeaky toy. Chewy, we look forward to your sponsorship opportunities. Hey, come here. Come get another one of these. But yeah, I want to give a shout out to CIF because they are trying, I think, in a lot of ways that people don't necessarily realize off the top in terms of how to adapt. And we focus a lot on, the negatives of the football playoff system or how many kids that transfer over to this one school get critiqued or not, and not enough about how they really are doing a great job at inclusion and diversity. Dave, your game balls this week from high school sports.
All right. I wanted to highlight a few guys that still are just raking at this point in the season. Justin Rodriguez. He's at High Tech Chula Vista. He's still hitting 561, 23 hits. Jackson Mendoza, that's good for 4th in all of San Diego at a 553 average. He's at Mount Carmel. He's got 21 hits. So, I mean, this point in the season, very impressive. I wanted to also highlight Jackson Waller, another really solid player at Mission Hills, hitting a cool 500. He's got, it says 37 hits here. I mean, that's a lot. So for those of you that know, it doesn't matter how many games you played, what league you're playing in, it is hard to hit either way. You've still got to barrel up the baseball, and some of these guys are just finding barrels all season. Ethan Wright, Santana, he's a big reason why they are solid. 500 average on the dot. He's got 16 hits. And then one of the reasons why Del Norte is really on the leaderboard for me still, even though, like Bodie said, a couple losses. Chris DePrima, he's hitting 492. If you watch Del Norte's games, they've got a very solid lineup, and so some of the guys aren't getting pitched around, whatever. DePrima's hitting in the 5-6 hole and cleaning up a lot of those guys that are getting on base either through walks or whatever. So impressive start for him. And then I wanted to highlight, want to do a quick top 10 for my pitchers this year that aren't giving up dingers. So I wanted to go over a couple pitchers, 10 pitchers real quick that are the top 10 in San Diego. And
if I knew, I would have gotten a he gone
an audio.
An audio go, and I'll get an audio dialed up.
So these are the pitchers that aren't giving up the long ball. I wanted to highlight Maddox Haley over at Madison, and in no particular order here. These are my top 10 in San Diego. Tyler Bremner, solid pitcher over at Scripps Ranch. Sam Garawal, clearly one of the best pitchers in San Diego at CCA. I've got Peyton Rogers over at Torrey Pines. He's got a 1.18 ERA. I think, to be honest, he might be even a freshman or sophomore, committed to San Diego State already.
Sophomore, yep.
Right? Very young. Ryan Ellis, 1.25 ERA over at Patrick Henry. He's a solid pitcher. I've also got, let's see here, Tyler Arnold at RB. He's a big reason why they're staying hot right now. He's throwing a lot of chairs. Eric Van Valkenburg, Torrey Pines, probably one of the nastiest curveballs in all of San Diego. This guy pitches with his stuff, confident with it, so it's going to be fun to watch him challenge hitters in the playoffs here. And last few guys I got on my list, Cooper Walls, La Costa Canyon, 1.09 ERA. They are on the verge of my top 10. They're probably going to sneak in here sooner with a couple more wins. And Isaiah Martinez at Eastlake, 1.04 ERA. Keep throwing chairs, boys.
Speaking of throwing chairs, I found my game notes. Marco Lopez from Hoover High School threw his second no-hitter of the season, and this time he got all 21 outs via the chair. Struck out 21 Lincoln batters.
So instead of Dave's dingers, it's Dave's chair throwers today.
Yes. I hope you still also have dingers, though.
Oh, of course.
Because all hail Ryan Ramirez.
Oh, never.
But yeah, wanted to give out a shout out to Marco Lopez from Hoover High School as my second game ball of the week. Anytime you're talking about majority of the outs being strikeouts, that's impressive enough. But I feel like all 21 of the strikeouts is just, that's almost too much.
That's legit.
That's almost too much insult to injury. You almost at that point want to just get your team involved,
right?
And let somebody get a ground out or a fly out or something like that. Bodie De Silva from Scorebook Live, your game balls, please.
Yeah, I'll start with Junior Barajas, catcher at Torrey Pines, and their big win against San Marcos on Saturday. Had two-run singles and then 2-run home runs, so 6 runs driven in of their 10 as a team. Ryan Crapel from Poway threw a complete game shutout against La Costa Canyon. And then he threw another complete game yesterday against Torrey Pines. So back-to-back in a really strong league is really impressive stuff there. Jeremiah Goodwin from Oceanside threw a one-hitter against Escondido, struck out 5. Tommy Molina, the catcher at Steel Canyon, 4 for 7 last week in 2 games, a home run and a double. Chris Williams from Francis Parker, multi-sport guy there, had a no-hitter going for 6 2/3 innings and was removed for a pitch count because he was up at 111 pitches. Teammate came in and got the last out. So we'll give him the no-hitter there. He was also 2 for 4 at the plate with the triple. Ernie Snyder from Mount Carmel in 6 2/3 against Ramona struck out 13 batters.
Wow. I mean, the Lancers, man. I mean, geez. It doesn't matter who, what day. It's just a different guy every day. I mean, Nevin Noonan, I saw that on your Twitter page. Jacob Campagna, the guy is raking this year. He's got 24 RBIs, 2 stolen bases in that last game.
Yeah, I'm excited for them in playoffs and possibly state. I think they're a team that could make a really good run. They know how to win clearly, and I know the schedule's not great, but they're doing what they should, and they're kind of blowing out everyone they need.
But
does Francis Parker have the smallest roster for a team in San Diego?
No.
Might be close.
No. What do they have, like 12? 15?
I want to say they have less than 15 guys.
I would make the unfortunate guess that there's probably some small school that we're overlooking.
But less than 15 guys, that's impressive.
But I would bet.
Yeah, I have Parker at 14, but yeah, there probably are a few that are right.
I bet
there
there's like
at
a Crawford or a O'Farrell or something like that.
But to be winning that many games,
but yeah,
pitching all up and down
for the success.
14 guys.
Yes,
you're playing. I mean, you're if you're sitting the bench on that team for very long, I'd be surprised, right?
Just mathematically, yes. Or as you say, mathematically. Mathematically, it would be unlikely that you would spend much time on the bench at Parker. Bodie, I had 2 questions.
Yes.
Come up from everything that you said. One being the pitch counts. Anything new this year on that front? Because that's a reality that not every high school baseball fan is dialed in on. Anything that people need to be hyper aware of there going into the playoffs that has changed this year?
So you're allowed to throw 10 innings in a week. I mean, you can break them up however sees fit that way. And then if you throw, it's kind of a tiered system. So 35 pitches, 50 pitches, that whole thing requires certain days to sit out. And then in one outing, you can throw up to 110 pitches. Obviously, you can continue with that batter if you hit that number. So there have been some pitchers that surprisingly to me have kind of gone complete game and stayed in the 90s. But if you get in one of these games where you're going through a tough lineup, they're working the count, it's going to be tough to go complete games. So that'll be interesting to follow in playoffs. But yeah, you could throw 110 pitches on a Monday or Tuesday and still be able to come back on Saturday and finish out your remaining innings. We've seen that in playoffs. So.
Second question I had was for state playoffs. What are those looking like this year? Because that is something that I want everybody to understand. We're gonna wreck house at as a section. We are going to steamroll some steezies until we win state championships left and right. I don't know what I can or can't swear wise on YouTube Live. Bodie, what's the format for the baseball high school state playoffs?
Yeah, so it's as we call it state, and I understand that way. It would be
state,
too long,
regional, quote unquote. Yeah.
So regional. So it would be a maximum of 3 games, and you would play. I think remembering last year, I believe it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Just a simple 8-team bracket thing within the division, and we saw La Costa Canyon go and win Division II last year. They walked it off against Long Beach Millikan. I was at Eastlake when they played Ayala, who ended up being in the championship. So in Southern California, I mean, the amount of all-stars over the years and just Division I talent that you see every year, you're going to face good teams no matter what division it's in. So,
and that will include Los Angeles City section, Southern section, San Diego section. That's the
correct.
Southern region.
Yeah, and then Central as well.
Which extends how far?
Yeah, so we're talking Fresno schools. So like Buchanan's one of the best up there.
Okay.
Bullard. So yeah, and there's really good teams up there too. So.
Well, that is exciting. Not as exciting though as Dave's Dingers, because every week Dave Ring, who you can find at DR Player Development, he's got everything that you would ever need to know about how to hit. And that includes how to hit dingers, yard shots, wall scrapers. They're all allowed in Dave's Dingers. As always, we start off Dave's Dingers by reminding everybody, all hail Ryan Rivera. It is through his generous and worthy bat that we exist. Dave, take it away.
Yeah, he's stuck at 12 right now, so they're probably not pitching to him too much. I think that's what we talked about that earlier in the podcast, as far as, teams are going to catch on and they're going to make other guys beat them. And Ryan's a stud. Let's see what happens the rest of the year. I wanted to highlight Colby Kiesling over at Sage Creek. He tied the school record with his 5th bomb. And he also committed just recently to a school that I'm not quite remembering off the top of my head.
Montana State Billings.
There you go, Montana State Billings. And congrats to you, bud. He's a super nice kid.
Has Sage Creek been around long enough that we're able to make the distinction that them setting a school record is impressive? Because they've been around for, 10 years?
Yeah, there's been some really good players that have gone through there that haven't hit 5 bombs.
Yeah, I don't think they're
Fair
the
enough.
typical one that 10 years in, they're just getting good. They've had some really good teams, so I think that's fair.
Little Sam Wozniak didn't hit those kind of dinger numbers. Deal. Fair enough.
Well, I think, like you said,
Objection rescinded.
Tied.
Please continue.
Probably Wozniak. I wanted to give a huge shout out to Nick Cook over at Poway. He just hit his 8th bomb. It was in walk-off fashion. I mean, this guy is probably the last uncommitted stud in San Diego. Needs the love, needs to get the love that he deserves. And like I said, he's hitting the ball like no other this year. I've seen him make some outstanding plays. Guy runs like a 6.2 60, so probably got the fastest home run trot in all of San Diego.
We keep going over this fundamental disagreement that it's a home run trot still. But yes, I get what you're saying.
Had to say it again, just to get your blood boiling. So, if you're listening, Nick Cook needs to get signed. Let's get him going, guys. If you're a college coach.
Okay, let's do this. We will end for the next 1 week until next show, all of San Diego Prep Insiders tweets with hashtag Nick Cook needs to get signed.
There you go.
Deal?
I like that, man.
Bodie?
I'm all for guys in San Diego that want to play at the next level and deserve the credit. So,
Bodie, can we get your commitment to one tweet this week with the hashtag Nick Cook needs to get signed?
I might have to go see him in person and get that one on top of it.
But I'm not even saying to join the movement. Just can you contribute?
That's a
one
good one.
Tweet?
He goes to a game, he gets some action to Nick, and then that's the tag.
Deal.
I did. I talked to Nick earlier this year when he homered. He's a great player. So.
Yeah, for sure.
But does he need to get signed? Because it would seem that that's what the internet wants.
No doubt.
All right, there you go. He's on board with the movement. Hashtag Nick Cook needs to get signed.
All right, a few more guys here. James Whitman over at Helix. The guy's an absolute tank. He's like 6'4", 250 almost. He's got 4 home runs. I'm probably going to hit another handful. Frankie G over at Saints. He hit 2 since our last podcast, so he's now at 3 home runs. Baron Zamora, definitely one of the most prolific sluggers in San Diego. He's going to Washington next year. He's at Grossmont. He's got 3 home runs. Tough loss yesterday. And last few guys, I think the list hasn't changed, but the top of the list now sits at Jake Bold, as has 8. Grant MacArthur has 8. I think Bodie mentioned Tommy Molina has 6. Zach Farrell has 6. And there's a couple other guys with that same respective number.
We're starting to catch the volume. We're no longer top heavy. We're starting, the middle of the bell curve is starting to fill out.
And really it's pretty much the same character. So, I'm looking for, and go check out my Instagram page if you want to see the Nick Cook bat flip from his recent walk-off against, I think it was LCC. It was he provided the offense for the whole game. Pretty much did it all, man. Walk-off home run, exactly. And no one plays on the other side of the fence, Christian. So, when it comes down to it, if you hit it over the fence.
Is that not one of the shifts
no one plays
allowed in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, at Poway, they're playing out on like the 20-yard line. So if it clears the bleachers,
exactly.
They got a punt returner in position to catch Nick Cook bombs.
I tell Nick he needs to hit more singles. That's what I tell him, to be honest. Singles are not overrated.
Is that going to be the new? Is that how avant-garde and like forward-thinking DR player development is?
Yeah.
Is that once it comes time to tip the scales, you're now going to be like you're going to go from dingers kings to singles kings?
Well, I mean, people have been asking me, are we going to do Dave's singles this year, guy? And
let's just say that the internet could rapidly misconstrue that on the search algorithms, and we could wind up with not necessarily a high school sports
Dave's
client.
doubles sound better?
Depends on
Little
how
bit.
you phrase it. Any more dingers before we get ourselves in
No,
trouble?
that's
with the
it, man.
FCC?
Thanks.
Bodie De Silva, anything that we missed from this week in high school sports, and what in general can the people check out with Scorebook Live?
Yeah, I'm working on top outfielders list this week, and that is a loaded list, so that will include a lot of names. But yeah, a little different than baseball, but it's a huge week for NFL draft and past San Diego kids. So expected to have several first rounders: Chris Olave, Devin Lloyd, the Thomas brothers from Carlsbad, Matt Ariza, who everyone knows is the unbelievable punter, Jahad Woods, several others that we've seen in past years. So an exciting week, and hopefully get San Diego a bunch more names in the NFL now.
I saw Matt Ariza in person this weekend. The dude is just like he's like Tim Lincecum. It mystifies me how someone that I don't mean this as like a knock on his game. Like, he's not some big,
good visual.
bulky dude. He's just a dude that maximizes the crud out of his physical capabilities to produce ungodly amounts of torque on that ball. And
Three-time San Diego section kicker of the year.
Yeah.
Usually it just goes to whoever's the best senior, but he was around and doing it for quite some time.
I was going to say, we kind of missed on that one in terms of like superstar investments that we made and guys that we spent time with. Oops. Our apologies there. The NFL draft is an awesome one, and I'm glad you brought that up, Bodie. That's just a cool thing to end on is that even though it's not high school football season, we will just touch on the fact that a lot of kids' dreams are going to actually get fulfilled in one weekend that we don't normally see in San Diego, this kind of volume of this kind of success. I mean, even recently with like the year that Tariq Thompson came out of SDSU as one of the best cornerbacks in college football, he still didn't get drafted. Like to have guys like Olave going in the first round and some of the other guys low first, high second, this is going to be huge. It's going to be really dope. It's going to be really cool. And I hope that a lot of you guys also who are the high school people, who are the high school kids out there, hear this when we say that of all of them that are getting drafted this week, only one of them even outwardly was receiving the proper amount of credit from people in high school, and that would be Chris Olave. And I would fancy myself a tad bit of a Devin Lloyd hipster if you go back and watch the tape. I was decently in on him. We had him on the show. I picked him as my, I think when we did the fantasy draft, I put him as my punter that year. Just out of it being a joke.
He was just best player on the field. Find ways to get him involved.
Yes, but that's some of the stuff where like the guys who, you know, if you think that just because you're not being validated in high school by certain accounts on Twitter or by recruiting this, that, or the other, just know that Devin Lloyd is going to the NFL this weekend largely based off of just hard work and a willingness to go out there and play whatever position. End of rant. Appreciate you all. We will be back next week with Dave and Tommy in studio. Bodie maybe in studio. Because, guys, I would like to do our fantasy draft next week.
Okay.
And I think that that's one that we could all come together to argue over. Appreciate you tuning in. Go check out the high school sports that are going on near you. Check them out on the Scorebook Live app. Find a good game. Dave, any closers, or are we out of here?
Cheers, guys. Thanks.